What can we say about it, mate? What can we say? How are you two?
Good, Brian. Good as we can be, personally. Spurs-wise.
I'm bummed. So tell me what you saw from that game from where you were watching, Brian.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say exactly what Dan Kelly said after Newcastle. Good teams play bad and win. So surely a team like us that play well in patches, which we did, and lose, that needs to be looked at as a thing that needs to be addressed. But we'll talk about it as in, oh, we played so well in patches, we were just unlucky, the crosses didn't get to the people. We've got to stop doing this. We had periods of sustained pressure. We created opportunities. We don't capitalise. We have a fear of shooting outside the box until the final 5 minutes. And what is this passing every single time we're around the penalty area? Someone like James Maddison lost all confidence in his shooting ability. He'll just keep passing it on. Son would normally cut in and ping one into the top corner. He'll take an extra putt. We're too scared to shoot from outside the box.
Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I felt like that I have to say this is a topic where I'd say I have to, I'm afraid, give some credit to Arsenal, who just had bodies in the way. They were so narrow and had bodies in the way all the time. So that's why it felt to me like they were always trying to play an extra pass. I mean, me and Marlon were talking about how all the second half, I felt that Son Heung-min was actually kind of slightly selfishly in completely the wrong position because he just wanted to get the ball outside the box and try and have a shot, and we never kind of found him in the position that he wanted that from until right at the very end. The other thing I'd say just about the shooting outside the box, in fact, I think Spurs got a bit of stick last week against Newcastle for having too many shots from outside the box. I think it was something like 11. But I do understand what you're talking about. I mean, in terms of the bigger picture, Brian, where you tend to be quite forthright about how you feel about the project and stuff. You know, is this another example for you of Ange Postecoglou being kind of out-coached?
Yeah, listen, he is getting out-coached. Like I said, I still will never turn my back on the manager, and I'm not starting here. I'm not starting now. But there's certain things that do need to be addressed. There's the sustainment. When we are, he needs to drop back and soak up pressure. His substitutions again at times were strange. And then you look at it. If he wanted Graham Bergvall so badly,
that is interesting. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wanted Archie Gray. He was my number one target. He's the one I wanted. Well, where is he? Where Bergvall? I mean, Bergvall for Maddison would have made a lot more sense to me. For a bit of creativity, why is he not getting the moment? And I go back to Barnaby where you were saying with the long shooting. You may be right with Newcastle, but it's like we have a fear. And the other thing that made the thing for me is we started that first 10 minutes, we looked electric. We looked like we were bang up for it. We looked like, do you know what? We're actually going to put a shift in today. But that's a 0-0. But when it got to the final 10 minutes or stopping, whatever, you're 1-0 down in a North London derby, your home opener, there's nothing. Let's pass the ball sideways. Let's pass it backwards to pass it sideways. There's hardly a... Did you not see the lack of movement? There's a lot of lack of movement within our team. There's other teams that are just fluid, passing it around and always finding space. We just spend too long on the ball, individually.
So, Brian, is this down to Ange's tactics, or is this the players not understanding Ange's tactics?
Mate, do you know what? I'm starting to get really confused with that question. Do you know what? No, honestly, like I said, I'm still backing Ange, but you've got to look at it now. To start off with, you would say the players aren't getting it, and when you had Solanke out, Van der Ven out, it's not the full team. They haven't had all the games together, whatever. But when the same mistakes keep happening, then you've got to ask yourself: is it the players that just aren't doing it? And if they aren't doing it,
yeah.
Why is Ange not saying, right, you're not doing it, I'm going to bring someone else in that will? Or are the players just not listening to instructions? Or are the players not even capable of listening to the instructions?
It's very frustrating because I agree with everything you guys are saying. I just think, unfortunately today, I personally think we were just beaten by a better team. I'm not suggesting that Arsenal ripped us apart. They didn't rip us apart. But in terms of what it took to win that game, and it was a game that they knew they had to win because they couldn't afford to be 5 points behind Man City, they just showed their experience of the last few years, that experience of Arteta has learned that in those difficult games, he's got to basically play Conte ball, but with an even tighter defence.
So my question is to you, Brian, and all Spurs fans.
Yep.
Would they rather see Ange and this whole attacking football for 38 games where you're going to get a lot of ups and downs like this? Or would you rather see Ange be a bit more streetwise when we are playing the better sides, that we do what Arteta's doing and have a bit of defensive stability in us?
So what I'll say to that, Marlon brother, is you look at it, and we wanted, or the Spurs fan base in majority, wanted to get away from the Jose ball, the Conte bullshit is boring and whatever, which is fair. Mm-hmm. But you then get the attacking manager. The attacking manager starts doing it, and now you're upset because we're not doing what Jose and Conte was doing. But what I will say on the other side is, again, I will say on it again, another reason I won't back the manager, I will back the manager and not turn on the manager, my bad, is all that happens is if we turn on Ange and he gets sacked, we just bring in some other person to do exactly the same thing that's happened again and get nowhere. All these managers that have gone on to win big things or challenge have been given time.
Yeah.
They have been given time. And Arteta now, he can say, do you know what, this game we need to smash and grab it. We need to sit back. We need to take our chance. One chance will come, and we have to make sure we take it. And they have the players with the footballing IQ, the discipline, and the manager to see it and do it.
Yeah.
We don't. Yeah. And if we want Ange to succeed, it's time, and he needs the players to be brought in. Because if we bring another manager in, everyone will go, well, hey, we've got this manager in, and I guarantee it, 18 months, 2 years' time, we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And in fact, the only example where it's been different to that I can think of is Unai Emery at Aston Villa, because basically he turned it round just like that, and then the momentum has kept going. But I completely agree, and I'm glad to hear, actually, Brian, that you're not going against Ange. I just want to bring a quote from Ange. He was asked about set pieces. He says, I know for some reason people think I don't care about set pieces, and it's a narrative that you can keep going on for ages and ages. I understand that. Like I said, we work on them all the time like we do for every other team. You know that they're a threat. As I said, for the most part, we handled them really well today, but we switched off for one and we paid a heavy price, and you learn from that and you move on. But it is what it is. You know, it's my burden to carry, and I'm happy to do that. It's not like I've always said, for me, there's a bigger picture that's at play here that's much more important than the finer details of us getting where we want to. For us, the way forward is to try to turn the football we're playing now into something meaningful. And I saw another quote from him saying where, basically, similarly to the other games, he felt that it was our inability to turn good opportunities going forward into clear-cut chances. That was the reason we lost the game, more than just conceding one set piece.
So on the back of that, I wanted to just ask Brian then. He said there it's about switching off. This now seems to be a constant theme then. It's not about the set pieces then. It's about switching off. You look at every goal we've conceded this season, that one switch off.
Correct.
Right? In every single... Twice against Newcastle, we switched off after having all the ball. And then Arsenal today, and then Leicester. Is that now becoming the bigger concern then?
Well, you look at it, and if Andrew's saying, like he said, they are working on set pieces, and then you've got to look and say this is more on the players, isn't it? You've got to look at it and say if the players keep switching off on these things, and they are paying attention to detail on this, then you've got to take some responsibility. And like you said, Marlon, bro, it keeps we keep switching off, and this is where I keep going to it. When like I said at the beginning, Dan Kelly, when he says. Teams, the big teams that need to get the job done, get it done. Whether
like
they're
Arsenal,
playing bad or whatever. You look at it as well. You can look at Chelsea yesterday. Bournemouth was battering them.
Yeah.
Battering them. And Cuckoo got one chance, bang, game over, see you later.
but look at today. Let's look at today, right? Arsenal have not played well today. They've not played well. From what we saw of last season of Arsenal, they've not played well. Yeah. But they didn't have to. What they've done is come, defended, and got the job done. Now,
same as Newcastle last week. Same as Newcastle.
Same as Newcastle. So it's becoming a bit of an issue where, and I've said this, there's only so much time that good performances, when you start losing these games in good performances, these good performances will stop and you'll just keep losing games. So what do you do next?
I agree with you. And I tell you what, Spurs also need to take James Maddison off media work, because all he does is flap his gums and run his mouth, and then he's all talk.
He's all talk. Yeah. Good old days when we didn't have internet, and if you'd done an interview in Australia.
Marlon, we signed James Maddison, and in the international build-up, I saw so many people on social media put up these wonderful compilations of his free kicks, his long-range shooting, his goals from outside the area, his devastating top corner. Where are they?
Yeah.
His set pieces from James Maddison has had a couple of games this season where he's been better than he was last season after the injury.
Do you know what, Brian? I'm just going to counteract that for a minute. I actually thought some of these deliveries today, there was certain, like, if you look at some of the chances we had, so you take Solanke's header, that was from a James Maddison cross. I believe that one of Van der Ven's chances was from James Maddison's cross. So actually, when he's getting on the ball, actually he is delivering, but he's just not getting on it enough, I think. And because look, if the last 10 minutes of that game, would you have taken him off?
No, but do you know, I would have for Bergvall, but do you know what it is as well? And I'll say, like you said, he put in a couple of good deliveries. Amazing. In fact, I want to see a 90-minute before. You're part of the leadership team or whatever you want to call it. Why do not any of the Spurs leadership team, I'll include Romero, this is a North London derby with 10 minutes. Why are you not grabbing people and going, fix up, literally motivating them and drumming it into them that we need to give everything we've got? It was such a lethargic second half performance, and you just want more. In this game, you want more. You need more. You should be giving more. It's just that there seems to be no leaders on that pitch.
I think I said during the game, I just felt like Arsenal had so many bodies behind the ball and then to add to that, Spurs were afraid, I think. This is what I think. I think everything you're saying is right, actually, Brian, but I think Spurs were afraid that if they tried to pop it about really quickly in between all those players very narrow, the moment they lost it, that's where Arsenal get it out to Saka. And I think they would almost... Maybe Ange will come out and say this at some point this week. He might say, actually, we are too worried about them on the transition because the only way we would have ever broken them down was to do it quicker and be a bit more buzzy about it. But who knows, mate? Look, it's...
Barnaby, I have one more thing to this year. This is what also got to me a bit. I don't know how you two feel about it or the chat. I would remember back in the days of the Pochettinos, the Joses, if they had a left-back, i.e. Timber, on a yellow card... They would get a winger flying at them to try and take them on, to bring on the foul. Second yellow, you're off. They would target that area and go, right, Timber's on a yellow card. He's gettable. Go. When you got someone like Brennan Johnson, who is all about the pace, every time he could have run at him, he just checked in because he's low on confidence.
Yeah.
And Odegaard when he came on, or Kulu when he came on. Like what Jose did when Adama Traore was taking the piss out of us at Wolves. He kept changing the players to get a yellow card to knock him out of the game. Why when we've got a left back there on a yellow card early, are we not putting a winger on him and just say run at him? Just absolutely run at him and commit him to the tackle.
I actually think, Brian, what you're talking about is something that I've mentioned a few times today, which is just the maturity of Arsenal is so much further down the line than we are, like in terms of those little fouls, the little faking their injuries to get their tactical talks from Arteta. There's a picture of Arteta stopping the ball when it's on the pitch with his hand because he's outside of his technical area. It's all of the coaching staff complaining to the fourth official. It's all of these dark arts which show a level of maturity where Tottenham are just kids at the moment. They are.
Yeah, but the manager isn't, Barnaby. The manager isn't, and surely if you got a guy in a yellow card, the manager's wise enough now to know
Well,
Yeah.
Go get play.
I agree, but I actually think this is where one thing I would probably say that maybe Ange is a bit overwhelmed with the level of the Premier League, because he's still feeling like most of his time has to be spent trying to drum into these players how to score goals. And actually, it doesn't seem to me like Spurs are concentrating on any of that kind of stuff at all, because that's where it comes into what you mentioned about leadership. Christian Romero is smart enough to be able to say to everybody else, this is what we do when I'm playing for Argentina. We literally pinch everyone and we make everyone hit us and, you know, end up throwing bottles into the crowd after games and stuff like that. But it's just not quite happening yet. I don't think Ange wants us to be that kind of team. He wants it to be a little bit pretty. And unfortunately, when you come up against sides like Arsenal today, it makes it look a bit men against boys as far as I'm concerned.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, Brian.
Agreed.
Well,
Guys,
try and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, I will do. I'm going to hospital for surgery tomorrow, so hopefully when I go to sleep, I don't have to rewind that nightmare. So have a good day, people, and enjoy the rest of it. Levy out.